wants to know, is the gold really there? They basically have to tell them, well, it takes 8-9 weeks that we maybe are able to send you the gold. So that situation is not going away. Of course, higher prices might ease a little bit the situation in the short.
All right, let's talk about that sovereign accumulation, because Azerbaijan's state oil fund, as I mentioned, just added 18.7 tons of gold in Q1 alone, and gold making up over a quarter of its portfolio. It's not the first time we've heard rumblings of this, but what does this tell you about the ongoing trend of central banks and sovereigns accumulating gold here?
Well, it clearly proves that gold is being remonetized into the system. Since 1971 and the end of the gold standard, basically, when Nixon closed the gold window, gold has been moving out of the system more or less. Yes, central banks kept holding it, but overall, it didn't play an important role anymore. And now we've seen since a few years more and more demand from central banks, especially, of course, from China. But as you said, also sovereign wealth funds are now buying into it. And I think this trend is still in the first or second inning here. I think this has a long way to run.
Well, we are watching things play out, obviously, in real time. I'm curious, how does China's dominance in rare earths and gold buying impact the West's position? I mean, we learned this week that China is accelerating its push to internationalize the yuan, and gold is now front and center in that effort. The People's Bank of China says it's considering setting up overseas warehouses for the Shanghai Gold Exchange in a move designed to expand the use of the yuan-denominated gold contracts globally. I mean, this comes as China encourages state-owned firms to settle overseas transactions in yuan currency as well, and then, of course, expand cross-border lending. What's the strategic importance of that move, Florian, and how could this shift the global gold flows?
Well, I mean, as I just explained, China is challenging the US dollar system. And they're doing it since the introduction of the Shanghai Gold Exchange, where there's only physical gold being traded in all those future contracts. While at the COMEX and the LBMA, there's at some point maybe 200, 250 paper ounces of gold for 1 real ounce of gold. And that's how the price finding has happened over the last few decades. So China is challenging that. I've been talking about this for years now, that of course they need to back their yuan in some form with gold to gain the trust. Because you and I, we would not like to hold Chinese yuan at this point. Yeah. You wouldn't really want to make an investment into it, right? Yeah. So they need to gain that confidence and that trust, and they will do it by using gold. And somehow they are introducing it into the yuan system, and they're giving their trading partners the option or the opportunity to basically settle trades in physical gold. And I mean, we know that the Saudis, for example, were able to use their yuans that they received for the oil in Shanghai to get physical gold, and I think that's continuing. And for example, that's a big reason to believe that gold will stay strong and continue its move higher. It's a super exciting, interesting times that we're living in, historic times right now, and I don't see any other way forward than higher gold prices overall. Again, of course, volatility is increasing. It's getting more and more crazy, but as long as you keep your metals physically in your own hands, you don't have to worry about anything, right?
Well, we're talking about that de-dollarization. We continue to talk about it here. And the PBOC is pushing for blockchain and expanding the cross-border interbank payment system, the CIPS. I mean, could gold settle via CIPS or CIPS? Could it become a viable alternative to SWIFT?
Maybe down the road. I mean, it really depends how all these trading partners want to do business in the longer run. It depends how strong the West can remain or maybe become strong again. Right now, of course, it looks like China is doing everything to build its own system. And I mean, there's not a secret that they control half of Africa, I guess, when it comes to the resources. And they're a big player on the oil market, a big player on the copper market. And if you're a trading partner with them, you probably will appreciate any alternative payment trails if they can offer it, and if it works out. And if it's on a blockchain, okay, then why not? I mean, I think all these things are coming at the same time. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, we're in interesting times. So every day. Okay, well, let's get back to the tariffs and kind of talk about this U.S. deficit problem. Obviously, we have in its first fiscal monitor report released Wednesday, the International Monetary Fund said that tariff revenue may help narrow the U.S. deficit slightly in 2025. Do you agree with this? And more importantly, could this short-term improvement in fiscal metrics maybe dampen the bullish case for gold, or is it more structural debt, issue here? Are we too entrenched?
Well, I mean, the US deficit is an exponential function, right? And they desperately need to do everything, and they're doing now everything to turn things around. And I think tariffs can maybe help to bring it down a little bit. Obviously, getting rid of US aid, it was helpful. I think they will do other drastic measurements sooner than later. It needs to be attacked because, as you know, like if you're insolvent, you don't have a lot of options anymore. So I don't think that this will be challenging for gold. I mean, we know that the Americans also, I mean, lots of gold has been shipped to America from London and also from Switzerland over the last 3-4 months. In fact, that was probably one of the main drivers that so much physical gold left the LBMA in London and has created a lot of problems for those people there that have sold for decades unallocated gold contracts. And now that the smart money, the big money, the institutional money, the sovereign money wants to know, is the gold really there? They basically have to tell them, well, it takes 8-9 weeks that we maybe are able to send you the gold. So that situation is not going away. Of course, higher prices might ease a little bit the situation in the short term, but I don't think that this will bring gold down dramatically. So
yeah, interesting.
Instead, I think that down the road, I think that America will maybe also introduce new ways of using gold within the system, maybe backing US treasuries by gold, whatever. I mean, there's lots of ideas circulating already. And I think they're also trying to get as much gold as possible into America right now. That's actually happening. We are in a gold rush. And gold is being remonetized into the system. And I think this is a longer process. This is not just a few months.
Yeah, I wonder if that had anything to do with the Truth Social post that Trump had put out there saying, "He who holds the gold."
Right. I mean, that's a classic one, a classic quote. It has been the truth. And again, I mean, people have to accept and realize, like, China has picked gold. They didn't pick Bitcoin, they picked gold. So, and that's what's going on. Gold is being remonetized. The smart one needs to make sure that the physical gold is there. And as you know, for the last 5 decades, lots of paper gold has been sold, and the physical gold is rather rare and hard to get on, especially in the quantities.